Just when we thought the work in the NCAA transfer portal was done for Duke men's basketball, the Blue Devils add another one. Cameron Sheffield commits to Duke. Let's talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson, and it's so great to have you here with us on Monday, May 20th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop for everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. We talk a whole lot about the Blue Devils on the men's basketball front. Do want to give a big-time congratulations to the Duke softball team for winning the Durham Regional over the weekend. They will now travel to Columbia, Missouri, a 3-game series with the Tigers in the NCAA Super Regionals. Duke baseball unfortunately suffered a series loss against North Carolina over the weekend, but they're primed for a big run this week in the ACC baseball tournament and then postseason play to follow. And sadly, over the weekend, we also saw the end of the Duke men's lacrosse season with the Blue Devils being defeated by Maryland in the Elite Eight. So today we'll talk a lot about Duke basketball. Cameron Sheffield is the newest transfer to come join the Brotherhood. This one really flew under the radar for a lot of people, but another scholarship off the books for John Shire and company. They add a transfer from Rice with 2 years of eligibility remaining, and our good pal Jordan Mann is going to be here with us today to break it all down. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow us on X at @LO_Blue Devils. I'm there as well personally at _JJ_Jackson_. Listen to this podcast each and every day, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Make sure that you go ahead and check us out on YouTube as well to watch the show daily. Like this video, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. We're continuing to grow this thing over here at Locked On Blue Devils. So without further ado, excited to welcome him on in. Jordan Mann is here with us on today's show. J-Man, what's going on, pal?
Not much, man. I appreciate you having me. Another Monday episode. Haven't done one of these in a little bit, but looking forward, or whichever day it is. Yeah. And looking forward to talking some Duke basketball with you again, another Duke commit.
Yeah, no doubt. It's good to be back on this Monday with you. Mondays are a good day for you and I working together. And so talking about this newest commit for the Duke basketball team, Cameron Sheffield comes over by way of the transfer portal from Rice. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Before we get into any of the details in terms of who he is as a player, what his role could potentially be, and so much more, this flew under the radar, Jordan. I mean, we were talking a lot about some of those other targets that Duke could have had possibly, but wow, this caught so many people kind of by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, caught a lot of people by surprise. I mean, talk about it happening it came out, I think, right before our episode dropped last week when I was like, yeah, Duke should just leave these 2 scholarships open and then, roll with it in the next season. If they're going to get a guy, let it be a senior. I guess technically he might be one. He has 2 years eligibility. Curious uses both or leaves after 1 year. But poor timing for my take right there as he came into play. But, yeah, look, Duke went back to Rice and got a transfer, just like Sean Obi back in the day when he was an all-freshman for Rice and averaged, I think it was like 12 and 9 his rookie year, and then came to Duke. Obviously, he was injury-prone for his 3 years and didn't really impact Duke much, but it's nice to see Duke had a little Rice connection there.
Yeah, and now they get Cameron Sheffield to join the fold for the Blue Devils. He has played 3 years of college basketball with the Owls before redshirting this past year due to a foot injury. He also has a COVID year of eligibility out there, and as a consistent starter in the 2022-2023 season as mainly a three-point threat, shooting 37.3% from behind the arc. Sheffield averaged 7.6 points per game. He scored a season-high 15 points twice in that year, and was second on his team with 6.1 rebounds per game. So 7.6 points, 6.1 rebounds. A good player, a good role kind of piece for this Duke basketball team if he were to be asked to play some significant minutes for this team.
Yeah, I mean, you like seeing a guy that's 6'6", kind of he's a wing, and he's averaging 6 rebounds or more a game. I mean, it shows that he has a motor, just like the other 3 that are coming into Duke. And he is a Duke guy through and through, coming off a foot injury, because you can't be a Duke guy if you don't have a foot injury. So
look at you.
He's just checking off all the boxes to be a Duke Blue Devil next season, JJ. He's getting ahead of it.
Yes, absolutely. On the defensive end of the floor 2 seasons ago, he led his team with 27 charges drawn, by the way, as well. That was another stat that people were pointing out there in the write-ups about Cameron Sheffield. So that's something that we're used to seeing with Duke basketball players, right?
Wow, that's a great pull, JJ. I did not know that. That's a heck of a pull by you, man. No wonder you have this show for yourself. Good Lord.
We like that, though, right? I mean, guys that are not afraid to get a little gritty on the defensive end.
It's just crazy that he's 6'6" and led the team in charges or had that many charges. If he was 6'2", I'd see it, but 6'6", I'm like, that surprises me. So I mean, hey, he can play defense, so that's a good thing. And look, we'll talk about what his role is going to be, but that's definitely something that can help him try and get on the court at Duke with playing defense and hustling his tail off on offensive glass and defensively moving his feet like that.
A graduate transfer, a native of Alpharetta, Alpharetta, Georgia, right there outside of the Atlanta area. He's the 4th transfer this cycle for Duke, following Malik Brown, Mason Gillis, Sion James, and now Cameron Sheffield. So a guard position where, it's 3-point shooting that we highlighted at 37.3%, experience handling the ball a little bit as well. But Jordan, maybe not somebody that's going to come in and make the biggest of impacts on the floor in game type settings.
Yeah. I would pump the brakes. I think I saw some Twitter takes that were pretty funny, and obviously, like, fans are going to fan, and they're always going to love and welcome a guy open arms. But I saw somebody compare his highlight tape to Kobe Bryant, and I was like, let's relax a little bit, let's pump the brakes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look. Sean Obi, like I said, he was a 12-9, 13-9 guy as a freshman at Rice. Didn't translate really at Duke. So I wouldn't say it's going to translate either for Cameron Sheffield, his numbers from Rice, obviously Duke, just because Duke's minutes seem pretty set in stone with who they have. But I think I said on Twitter, and it is my take on it is he's coming in probably as a practice player with a ceiling of Jalen Blake's minutes. And that's probably what we'll see out of Sheffield.
So Cameron Sheffield commits to Duke basketball, and he will play 2 seasons of eligibility remaining, 6'6" from Alpharetta. And I want to give a shout out. I was reading on Duke Basketball Report a little bit earlier this week. To the best of their knowledge, this is now the 3rd Cameron to play in Cameron for Duke, behind Cam Reddish and Cameron Hall, who played for Duke basketball in the 1970s. I hope we get Cameron Boozer.
I was waiting for you to say that.
But J-Man, look, people are able to do research on the number of, or the first names that people have suiting up for Duke.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, the stats I'm learning today is fascinating. The facts that I'm learning is fascinating. I'm honestly surprised it's that low. Three people, that's crazy.
Yeah. Cameron, a rather popular name, man. 3rd Cameron and Cameron Indoor.
Well, I mean, look, hopefully he makes me my words that I say he's he's a practice player with a ceiling of Jalen Blake's. But I just want people, Duke has the roster set in stone. But another big body guard, as talked about, nobody on the roster now is officially under 6'5" because he's 6'6", and that's it with the roster. It should be. And so 6'5" and up, and that's pretty impressive.
New Blue Devil, Cameron Sheffield, committing to the program. Excited to see what's next for him as he continues to go forward on his basketball journey. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, we'll have a little bit more conversation here on this episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today, brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire, constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process so great. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We'll keep this train moving here on this episode of Locked On Blue Devils. I'm JJ Jackson alongside Jordan Mann here at J-Man's Takes on X, the Big J and Little J Show, JMan _ on YouTube. Go check out all of his work. We've now got one scholarship open for the Stouck basketball team, J-Man. And so we'll kind of circle back to the chat that we were having a week ago. I think we feel a little bit more secure that probably not much movement is going to take place here for the Stouck team now.
Like I said, you might not want to ask me this question, JJ. Say that Duke's not going to use that open scholarship. Duke's going to somehow find a guy by the time this comes out, and it's not going to be a good look for me. But I really do think it'll be probably a walk-on that will deserve the scholarship, and rightfully so. And not, then Duke will leave that scholarship open. And that is my take. And kind of playing both sides of the fence there, but that's just what I think is going to happen.
Okay, so now that you see the roster and the way that it's been constructed with the players that are on board now, what do you think? What do you make of this group?
I mean, a lot of size, a lot of length, a lot of excitement from me because the film sessions are going to be fun next year. Just watching them, how active they'll be defensively, and one thing that I'm sitting on, a take that I'm sitting on, it's not even real. I guess it would be the hot take. I'm going to get ahead of it. And I think Duke could possibly play zone next year. Not like a lot. I don't want this to be clickbait, but I wouldn't be surprised like early in the season if they're struggling with man, they go to zone, because one thing about Malik Brown and Zion James is they played a lot of zone at their other schools. Mason Gillis played straight man at Purdue, but I think Zion and Malik Brown at least played 50-50 zone and man concepts. So say Duke's freshmen are struggling with man-to-man concepts, I could see them maybe throwing some jump zones periodically in games. That's a hot take for me because I do think they're going to play man-to-man for basically the most part. But if Duke struggles, I wouldn't be surprised they go zone with this long group.
And with the size, that's the reason why you say that, right? It could be a pretty effective zone look if Duke wanted to go to that from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, this is just off a whim. I'm going to be honest with you, JJ. But I saw that on Synergy when I was looking up stats. Like, wow, that's actually surprises me that they played that much zone and how good of a defender both Malik Brown and Zion James are.
And look, your X handle is at J-Man's Takes. So I would expect nothing from you, man. You're supposed to throw these things out there.
That's true. And for your listeners, I mean, it's a good thing because I'm normally wrong. So just like this open scholarship thing, Duke's probably going to run 100% man-to-man all next season.
Yeah, the size is going to be awesome to watch for the Stouck basketball team. Last week we talked a little bit about the spacing. Let's kind of rehash that conversation as well. So defensive end of the floor, we've touched on that. But on the offensive end, another shooter is added to the fold if Cameron Sheffield gets some run out there on the court for Duke. What do you think of this unit as they prepare for kind of the offensive sets in the college game?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll still do their pick and rolls that they did last season. And like I said, Foster and Proctor will be better. They have a lob threat now with Malawak and Cooper Flagg, whereas last year their numbers were a little bit less than for Proctor, it was a little bit less than his freshman year in terms of efficiency around the rim, because you go from Derek Lively being a lob threat to Filipowski not really being a lob threat in a pick and roll, even Mark Mitchell. And so I think that's going to come to fruition. He's going to be a better scorer around the rim. And then spot up Zion James. Not only is he really good in pick and rolls, but He can catch and shoot 47% from three on catch and shoots. And then Proctor was at 39%, I think, on catch and shoot. And then Foster was 42. So those guys can do very well in pick and roll and very well in opposite driving kick, catch and shoot corner threes. And then obviously with Cooper Flagg, I mean, the guy's a Swiss Army knife. He's going to beat you on catch and shoot threes, one dribble pull-ups, going to the rim. And then Malawak just around the rim is going to be a freak.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to watch this team get after it on the offensive end of the floor. Saw some freshman jersey numbers released by the Duke basketball team over the weekend. For the first time ever, we will see Duke basketball players wearing non-traditional digits on the back of their jerseys. Prior to this past season, you could only wear 0 through 5, and then ascending up to 55 being the last jersey number that could be worn on the basketball floor. But we're going to have a 7, 8, and 9 on this basketball team this season, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm happy for them, but I'm definitely jealous because I couldn't get number 4 in college for Reddick, so I wanted number 7. They're like, yeah, that's impossible. And now these kids have it, so I'm very happy for them. And honestly, if you think about it, it's long overdue because there's already so many numbers in the rafters. I know, obviously, freshmen have come in and reused some of those numbers, and so they're not really that retired. But if you have retired jerseys that are not supposed to be worn again, everything should be on the table. So 7, 8, 9 should have already been on the table.
And now they get to be worn. We'll see Common Malawak wear that jersey number 9. A lot of people making the connection to Luol Deng, of course, which is a massive connection running the Sudan basketball organization. And Deng wore number 9 throughout his NBA career. He wore number 2 for Duke, but he's going to get to wear number 9 for the Blue Devils. Cooper Flagg, by the way, will be wearing jersey number 2 for the Blue Devils. So the big fellas, the NBA draft guys for this Duke basketball freshman class, what do you think of their jersey numbers in particular with Cooper and Common?
So Cooper's 2,
Common's 9.
9. Yeah. I like 9's going to be cool to watch. Like how 0 was cool to watch when it first came in and 1, but now they've been overused to where it doesn't have the same effect on me anymore.
Right.
9's going to be cool. Isn't Darren Harris 7 or who's 7?
Yeah. I think Darren Harris is 8.
8.
And then I'm gonna have to look this up because Ngamba is 21, I recall. And
I think Khan is 7.
You're exactly right. Khan is 7. Yep.
But seeing those numbers, those 3 numbers, will be cool to see in college. I don't say NBA, in college. But 9, I'm very excited to look at. But it's just going to have the same effect on me when I was younger, when I was like, oh, wow, you can wear 0 and 1 now in college. So 9 is going to be cool, especially like you said, the Luol Deng connection.
Apologies to the folks watching or listening to the show yelling at us in terms of what those jersey numbers were. Our minds went blank for a moment. I was prepared for Flagg and Malawak. I wasn't prepared for the other ones.
Yeah. If they're a listener of the Big J and Little J show, this happens a lot. So they're on at least half of this episode right now. But 9's would be cool. And then Patrick Ngongba got 21. I wish he would have gone like in the 50s. Like, give me an old-fashioned big man number. Give me like 55.
The Zubek, absolutely. Isaiah Evans, number 3, that Jeremy Roach has worn the last 4 years. Of course, Grayson Allen before him. Trey Jones actually in the middle between those two guys. But it'll be Isaiah Evans that's got number 3 on his back.
Yeah, that'll be cool too. It's going to be weird. It's going to be cool to see him number 3, but obviously weird that you saw a Roach for 4 years wear number 3.
Right,
and now you're like,
someone else has it. Yeah,
a lot skinnier and a lot taller of a guy is wearing number 3.
No doubt about that. All right, one more timeout, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the Duke basketball transfer class that we have for the Blue Devils, and one final look at the roster ahead of the upcoming season as Jordan Mann joins us here on this episode of Locked On Blue Devils. We're back here in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends, of course, over at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now it's winner takes all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers will get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com to look at all the odds that are awesome this time of year. FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Keeping it moving here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, JJ Jackson alongside Jordan Mann. He's got the Big J and Little J show, a great YouTube channel. Tell me and tell the listeners about all the work that you do, Jordan.
Yeah, J-Man _ is the YouTube where you can find film breakdowns, player breakdowns. I think I said on the last episode I was working on a Proctor one. That is going to come out this week. I've been busy with work, but promise that's coming soon, and more Duke content will be on the way. And then Big J and Little J shows on my YouTube as well and on Apple and Spotify.
Go check it all out. Great work as always from Jordan, and I think you get smarter after you listen to the conversations that Jordan and Connor O'Neill have from Devils Illustrated. I feel that way, at least.
Well, JJ, I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel dumber when I get done hitting and record, so it's okay.
All right, so we've got 4 transfers joining the mix for the Duke basketball team. My question to you and my question to folks watching us on YouTube, leave your comments down below. If you were to kind of rank these 4 transfers in terms of impact that you think that they will have on the floor for the Blue Devils, what would that look like? Brown, Gillis, James, and Sheffield. I think based on our entire conversation so far today, Sheffield's going to take that 4th spot, Jordan. But the top 3, in some ways, kind of up for grabs, man.
Yeah, I love how you put me on the spot in this episode.
Yeah, that's what I do, man.
This is going to be cold take, exposed, old take, whatever. And I'll go Malik Brown #1. I think he really will be the one that he's going to play probably the most minutes. And I think that might be safe to say. #2, I love Sion James. I love Sion. God, JJ, I love Sion. But I might – what is this? It is May 20th. Right now, I'm going to say Mason Gillis. And just because I think he's going to have he'll be in bigger moments. Like it'll be like a key possession, whether it's offensively or defensively late in the second half because of his experience at Purdue. He won't be the one that's going to have, I think Sion James will have better stats, if you will, than Mason Gillis. But I think Mason Gillis's impact will be better or will be more. And then I have Sion James and then Cameron Sheffield. And if people are listening to this now and we do this before the season next year and they try and say, well, you said Mason Gillis #2 back in May 20th, you're right. I know, but I might be a hypocrite when it comes October of 2024.
And I was just about to say you're allowed to change those thoughts as well because, look, we've got content to put out for people. We've got conversations and ideas to kind of tweak as we sit there with our thoughts more. We see more of those practice clips coming up. So, people, I will ask Jordan Mann that exact same question prior to the start of the season. Probably 15 games into the season, we'll rehash that question. Like, we're going to keep revisiting it because that's what we get to do here on the podcast.
Hey, if you need a thumbnail, here's a thumbnail right here, JJ. Cameron Sheffield, the #1 impact transfer for this Duke Blue Devil team.
I love it. Here's our thumbnail today. Cameron Sheffield commits to Duke, and we're fired up to have him a part of the Brotherhood. One more time, J-Man, how do you feel about this roster kind of officially being set and ready to go ahead of the season?
I like it. I do really like it a lot. All jokes aside, like they're from top to bottom, even with Sheffield, like Sheffield's going to make an impact on, and we just might not see it. And because there's a real pivotal role, real special role for a guy to really bust guys' tails in practice. And though the fans don't see it, the locker room knows how it is. There's going to be practice film of him, and he's going to do well. And like I said, he could earn those minutes that Jalen Blake's had this past season. Like they might be DNPs, but then you never know that he could play 5 to 10 minutes in a random game that Duke needs him to. And as long as he can solidify that spot, I mean, that's an important spot. You go from playing at Rice to making any impact at Duke. That's a crazy jump. And I'd be more than thrilled for Sheffield, but these guys are going to compete and it's going to be a war in that practice gym. And I can't wait to see it come to fruition in game 1.
Way to get after it today, Jordan. Appreciate the hard work on the episode today. Good work, man.
Call me Cameron Sheffield.
Yeah, I love it. That's Jordan Mann joining us on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Make sure you go check out all of his work. Follow us on X at @LO_Blue Devils. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. like the video, share it with your friend. Also follow us, subscribe to the podcast platform, and leave us a 5-star rating and written review. That's going to do it for today's show of Locked On Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.